This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, good morning, good evening. So today in this short video, I'm going to show you how to connect to a Linux machine and Git without using passwords. So using the passwordless authentication with the help of SSH key pair, I'll show you how to generate the key pairs and how can we use it to connect to Linux machine or even the Git, GitHub, GitLab, anything of your choice with a single key pair. So throughout the training, let's ensure to have a directory and try to place all your code inside it. So let's assume this is the batch X. I'm creating a directory batch X. So going forward, I'm going to use everything inside this. Okay, this is just organizing. So, and the command to generate an SSH key pair is SSH-keygen, SSH-keygen, and SSH-keygen, and then -f batch X. So this is the name of the key pair that it's going to generate. Enter, enter, enter. Now this is going to generate a key pair. .pub is nothing but your private key, and this is a private key. So we are going to use this key pair by Excel. Actual understandable format is pem. So I'm going to rename the file to pem, mv this to this. So mv is a command to rename the file to pem. So pem is a format which is understandable by your Linux machine Excel. So done. Now pem key is supposed to be imported into your Excel. This is your Excel use your SSH terminal. Go to view, user key manager, import the private key. So I'm going to import my private key, which is inside the batch X. So batch X is here. So import the private key. Now you have the import key. Now go to your cloud. So in our case, we are using the Amazon cloud. So go to the Amazon cloud. So here I'm inside the Oregon EC2 and go to the key pairs and import the key pair. Import the key pair. So I want to name this key pair as, okay, import the key pair. And this is the PEM format. Okay, so import the key pair. Or you can also go with import option, go with batchx. Okay, so browse the file. You can browse or copy paste it. Anything works. So see users, batchx. Here you have the public key. Import the public key. Done. So going forward, what are the instances that you create here? You can use this key pair to connect. Okay, for now, I'm going to create an instance, launch an instance. I'm going to go with CentOS 7. CentOS 7. And I'm going to choose CentOS 7 for results. CentOS 7. Go with the community MIs. So I'm going to go with CentOS. Select this. I'm going to select this. And I'm going to go with T3.micro, which is some new generation hardware. Launch an instance. And you need to tell the key to use is batchx. Launch an instance. Now your instance will be launched. So your instance is launched. Now without any username and password, you should be able to connect. So copy the public key of the machine, public key. So SSH CentOS @ IP address. So CentOS is the default user account in the CentOS, and this is the public IP of the machine. Now hit enter. I think this is still initializing, so it's gonna take a couple of 1 minute of time. I think since we are using the latest generation hardware, it should be quick to be precise. SSH CentOS. In Oregon, things would be a bit slow, so it's still initializing. Let it wait. Mm, Let it wait. Let's try to reconnect one more time. server is operational, so click it and use the batch X key because there is a public key that we have used, so you should be able to connect. Okay, this mission uptime is a command to see when the mission is up, so you have the mission up. This is how you connect to the machine without any password, okay, without any username and password. Now, if the same public key can be used by your Git, okay, by your Git. So open your Git bash, ls-ltr. Now copy the public key. Now I'll show you how to connect to Git without any username and password. Now copy the public key, private key. Now copy the public key of the machine which you have generated. In our case, till the completion of the batch, we will be using the public key, batch X public key. So wherever you want, you can use this public key. The associated private key can be used to as a password. So copy this public key and go to your GitLab. Now here on the avatar, you can see, okay, preferences. If you go to the preferences of your account, SSH keys, okay, paste the SSH key and then import the key. That's all done. Okay, you have updated the key here. Once you have updated the key here, okay, now you can use the associated private key, which is nothing but batch xpem to connect to the Git without any username and password. Okay, so but one thing, okay, your Git is also a Linux machine, so instead of every time using SSH username ssh-i x batch x.pem at the rate IP address, instead of using this, if you change the location of the PEM file to this, okay, cd cp, if you copy this file to home users directory, okay, home users, your username, okay, .ssh id underscore rsa. id underscore rsa is the default private key file that your system is aware of it, so you don't have to mention it. Either you can use this way or you can also go with this way. Okay, Tyndall is like your home directory, and inside that .ssh id underscore rsa, you moved it. Right now I'm going to create a repository. I have the repository here. I have the repository here. Okay, now let me try to clone the repository. Clone the repository. So whenever you're using SSH based authentication, you use this URL. If not, if you want to go with username password, go with HTTPS. I prefer going with SSH. So git clone, it's going to clone the repository. Okay, done. LSF and LTR. You can see the repository shell scripting. Okay, you can go inside the shell scripting, and if you want to see from where it is being downloaded, you can. There is a hidden folder called as .kit. Inside that, there is a file name config. If you see this, it shows from which directory you have downloaded the repository. Downloaded the repository. Now, if you want to do any changes, so let's say Vim, I want to do some changes. So I want to do some changes, and the changes are okay, and the changes are shell scripting. I just added some space. Okay, now if you want to push the changes to GitHub, git add dot git commit -m, put some meaningful comment, updated the space, and then git push. Your changes are pushed. The changes are pushed. Similarly, the same private key, if you paste it inside your Linux machine .ssh id underscore rsa, just copy the private key, copy the private key, copy the private key, and go inside your Linux server .ssh id underscore rsa. Okay, this is the file where your system is aware of it. Okay, it says that vi command not found. That's okay. Go with vi. Vim is an additional utility you need to install. Done. ls-ltr. -ltr. Now sudo yum install git y. Okay, just install git now. It's installing git. I'm just routing the logs so that your screen won't be. Okay, git clone. Now try to clone the same repository here. Let's try to clone the same repository here. Okay, it will ask you yes or no. Yes, say. It says that your private key is not protected. Okay, why? Because it says that it is open for the public. Right now, the permissions that are given to this file are 664, which is not required. ls-ltr, if you see this, okay, changes to 600, because private key is something which only the owner should read or write. Others in the system should not. Now try to git clone. Now it should work without any username and password. Okay, even if you do any changes, here, okay, I want to do some changes. Okay, vim is not installed, vi. Okay, now let's see if you want to do some changes. So I want to change it as passwordless. Okay, I did some changes, git add dot. So similarly, if you want to push the changes, some just commit git push. So from, sorry, git push. So it says that git commit -, you need to be inside the shell directory. Yeah, sorry for that. So ensure you are hitting the git commands by being inside the git repository. Okay, now your things are being pushed. Okay, now it asks you to enter your author name and password. If you want, you can do that. Okay, so that your history will be clean. Okay, that's I want to name it as Linux Verma. So going forward, whatever the commits that you do will be of Linux user. Okay, that's all. This is how you authenticate to Git and Linux using passwordless authentication. Thank you guys. See you in the next video.